Welcome to another episode of the Away Gooners Podcast. So before I start about this show, I need to, do a happy jig that Pepe is out of the door. Not completely, but he is out on loan at Nice. So Arun, are you feeling sad about this?
Feeling sad. That's a good question. I would have loved for him to worked out at the Arsenal. He's one of the players that I thought was going to create a huge impact. It's sad that it didn't work out at all. At all, I should say. Yeah, that's I should emphasize on that. But the thing is a player at 72 million was never going to be able to justify his price tag. He was coming from a lower league and all that. So if you're asking me, I see you shaking your head. So you want to know whether I'm happy or what I feel about the entire thing.
He wants to know how happy he's been.
No, I don't I'm happy for the club in the sense that we made a right move in the right direction, so it's going to help the club. But for Pepe, yeah, I hope that he makes something good, which will in turn help the club in the future as well. If he does which I know I have to complete this. If he has a good season there, we manage to get some money for him, that would be good. Good for the club. So that's what I'm hoping for from this, a win-win for the player and the club.
The whole idea of asking you that question is just for you to be sad and me going haha about it, not to have
I think I've gone past that stage now. Pepe is it was the 3 years has helped me go from denial to acceptance, So I've gone through the 5 stages of grief. Now I'm at the final stage, so I've accepted things now. There's no more denial.
But yes, usually Arun cuts me off during the intro, but this is on me. This is on me to take that off. But there you heard Arun talk and Bob. Hi, Bob. And today we are here with one special guest, Max, who's a journalist, a political writer, and also is associated with Hammy End. That's the Fulham, website. They've been writing in it for 2 decades now. I mean, it's amazing what they've been doing there. To be fair, I stole some of the points from their articles, and that's what you're going to hear. And I'm not ashamed about it because it's a very good source. But welcome, Max. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be on here discussing the show. I also co-host another Fulham podcast called Cottage Talk. So very involved in the community, and I've always, respected Arsenal, so glad to be with a couple Arsenal supporters.
Yeah,
today.
links for Cottage Talks would be attached to the description as usual. Thanks, Max, for coming in. So to start off this discussion about the preview of the game, right, Max? These are 2 teams that's not yet been beaten, although 2 different kind of way or 2 different pathways that we have come to this point. But my interesting thing in the whole thing is this. Did you expect this kind of a start to your season? Coming back to the Premier League after that monstrous season, 100 plus goals in a season is always great.
Yeah, honestly, I've been very surprised with how we started the Premier League this year. We've been promoted and relegated for the past couple of seasons. We've been back up. And the summer transfer, though, hasn't been, I think, where a lot of fans thought it would be. Yes, we made some good signings, but if you look at the team that we've played in our first 3 matches, the back 4 is almost exactly the same as the Championship. And we do have some reinforcements, but also the front 3, especially in that Brentford game, honestly was pretty weak on paper. But really credit to Marco Silva, the manager, credit to the players. They've exceeded our expectations. And I think the fact that we're unbeaten along with Arsenal is a testament to how well we started, but definitely a surprise for the supporters.
On Marco Silva though, right? The last time when you guys were up, I don't follow the Championship much. I don't follow anything much. I'm not the smart one in the group, but the last time you guys were up, you were not playing to Mitrovic's strength, right? This time I feel that you guys are doing those playing to Mitrovic's strength. Which is it something that Marco Silva has brought this into the team, or is it this is what we want as a club, as an identity?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Last time we were in the Premier League, we had Scott Parker as a manager, And as you mentioned, him and Mitrovic just did not see eye to eye.
He still scored like 15 goals or something, right?
Not in the Premier League. He's equal the tally as to what he scored entire 27 games from last season, which is quite surprising by itself. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Max.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. So under Parker wanted to play counter-attacking football with a striker who was going to be quick, was going to make runs in behind, and would be okay out of possession, and that was not Mitrovic. So actually, for large stretches of the 2019-20 season, 2021 season, Mitrovic was on the bench. And we had Ivan Carvalho, who's a winger, playing in the center forward position. So it really was not good for Mitro. But yeah, Marco Silva came in, and so much of Mitrovic's game is all about confidence as a striker, right? And I think Silva and Mitrovic have a really good understanding. Mitrovic was actually very close to leaving the summer after he got relegated in 2021, and Silva convinced him to stay and said, "Look, we're going to put our faith in you." So I think you're right about we're playing around him. He's the first name of the team sheet is guaranteed starter. And if you look at the Brentford highlights, the cross is coming in a bit exceptional. And the goal he scored in the last minute with the cross from Mbadu, that's an example of us playing to his strengths. Fullbacks who want to attack and cross the ball. And that's how Mitrovic gets most of his goals. So definitely playing to his strengths. And he's one of the top scorers in the league, which is amazing for someone. As Bob mentioned, he only scored 3 goals his last Premier League season. He's already matched that tally, and we're 3 games in.
But in the Mitrovic has been your player for quite some time, but in the signings you've made quite a few, and although you mentioned that they have not yet started making an impact in the team, I would personally want to know more about Leno, obviously, but I also see that with Palinha, with those signings, I'm just looking over at the team and going like, oh, there's a lot of signings here, and all of them looks like they are going to fight for the first team. And if that's the case, being the Wenger school that I'm from, I always think like, oh, what's going to happen if there's like too many signings? And you guys, I think not you guys, QPR did the thing, right? Like where they signed an entire 11 and they didn't gel at all. So are you worried about it, or is there a pattern to how you guys are doing the signings this summer?
Yeah, good question. I think we look at our team, and then we were very weak central defensively, right? We have Tim Ream and Tosin and Adarabioyo, our starting center backs. And beyond that, before we made any signings, we had no one in depth because Alfie Mawson had left and a number of other center backs had gone out on loan and we sold them. So we needed at least just depth in the center back position. And we got that. We have Issa Diop from West Ham and Shane Duffy on loan from Brighton. So just in that purely a depth perspective, we have to get more players. And if you look at the attacking situation as well, if Mitrovic gets injured, we don't have a number 9 as a backup. We have no other central striker. So the team was pretty bare bones. And actually, so one of the new signings we got, Lenore Solomon from Shakhtar Donetsk, he had knee surgery after playing just 1 match. So a player we brought in is injured. Harry Wilson, who was a really, really big player for us last season, also has a knee injury. So we were forced to start Jay Stansfield, who's a 19-year-old academy graduate, in the last match. So you can kind of get the sense that the Fulham team, although we've done really well the first 3 matches, it's a pretty thin squad. So I'm not too worried about too many signings, although we have had that issue in the past. But just to single out one signing quickly, you mentioned him, Palinha. I think Palinha is going to be an excellent signing.
Talking about the signings, Matt, I just wanted to check with you on one thing. I know it's a big loss for you to lose out on Carvalho to Liverpool, but that was actually coming, because of the stellar form that he was in. Now you have obviously signed Pereira from United. Obviously, do you see him a like replacement for Carvalho in that sort of the same thing that he used to do?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the intended goal, because they're both going to play in that central attacking midfielder, creative number 10 role. But was Carvalho a big miss? He's, I think, one of the most talented footballers I've seen at Fulham in a long time. We only really got to see him for 1 season in the Championship, but in that 1 season, he was one of the best players in the entire division. And what I would like to say is it's a very physical league, the Championship. And even though he's not the strongest player, he put up with all the challenges, all the tackles, and would often just be too quick for players. They'd want to foul him. They couldn't even get near him. So I think Liverpool really have a great talent on their hands. But Pereira is he's not as skilled. Obviously, he's very skillful, but he's a bit stronger, a bit bigger. And I think his set piece delivery is actually a lot better. He's taking really great corners. He had a good free kick last match. So I think it's a like-to-like positionally replacement, but we're not going to get the same, I think, technical quality from Carvalho because he's, I think, a generational talent maybe. But Pereira will definitely help us creativity-wise.
I mean, him from United would never get me to, like him in any sense, but I can see where he is gonna fit in your team. But on that like relegation topic, right? Like I'm just curious because last time when we were in the bottom half of the table, we were literally Arsenal fans had the fear of relegation. Not really fear of relegation, but the thought did come to us. And to be fair, we've never had that kind of like, okay, we are going to get relegated. At least the time that I have followed Arsenal, I've never had that. But going through that process over and over again, like what is as a fan, how do you put that into a box and okay, this is what we have to do, and talk to me about a process of a fan going through that process.
It's very difficult because Fulham, just like Arsenal, for a wide period of time, were an established Premier League club.
Yes.
We've been in the Premier League from 2001 until 2013. So the past couple of years of going up and going down again have honestly been, yo-yo, exactly. I mean, equally as difficult because you can't plan to be an established Premier League club when you keep getting relegated. And we've seen that every time we get back promoted, we have to buy 6, 7, 8 players just to make our squad competitive. Those players take a couple months to gel. It's a new system. And, by the time they've started playing well, it's too late. We're already bottom of the league or, second from bottom. So the reason I've been so surprised with how we started, we're enjoying this. We're not expecting it to last, but the fact that we're not playing catch up, that we can actually have a foundation to build on has been pretty positive for us.
So you think you'd be a third time lucky this time?
Yes, hopefully third time lucky. Because as you mentioned, the yo-yo team, it's like a reputation you get with other fans. And, it's not great as a fan to have a reputation. But moreover, you lose the players, a player like Carvalho, a player like, Harvey Elliott, we had it, Ryan Sessegnon.
Yeah.
Players who are excellent young English players who we developed in our academy, they're not going to want to stick around with the yo-yo team. So I think we need to stay up this year to build that platform and, to make us a better club.
As you said, Max, Fulham are always a traditional rivals, right? I used to follow Fulham quite a lot, even in the past. I loved your UEFA Cup run where you went all the way up to the final. It's just quite disheartening for you to not win it, because
that was very inspirational, to be honest. Seriously. I gotta mention it here. I don't think I would again, like in the next 25 years, expect Fulham to do something like that, So that was like a great run against all odds. It was a fantastic run. I remember that.
I remember, precisely during that time that there was actually, there was a. I can't pronounce the name. I don't think no one ever can. But there was actually a volcano eruption in somewhere in the Nordic,
Iceland,
and then the whole thing. You had to take the bus all the way to the final, and then there were preparations along the way. Man, seriously, that team deserved definitely a win. In the final. So it was just quite sad. But yeah, going back to things, it was. Fulham has always been, pretty good rivals in London, but just recently have been, going back on top from the championship. But coming to Marco Silva, we know that he's managed a few teams in the past. Some of them successful decently, but then some of them not. How different is the Marco Silva that you've seen in the past to the one that you're seeing now?
Yeah, so when he first came to English football, he was at Hull City, and he almost kept them up, but didn't quite succeed. And then he went to Watford and had that kind of great start to the season, and then got his head turned, and Everton won him, and then the results dipped. And he actually had a very decent first season at Everton. I think he finished 7th or something, and then it was the second season where it really all descended. So what we've seen from Marco Silva, at least in my experience, has been a manager who does well at the beginning, but quickly fades. And I think at Fulham, it's been different. As you guys mentioned in the intro, we scored 100 plus goals last season, won the championship by a wide margin. He won the fans over. The football was attacking. It was easy to watch. We got young players involved. It honestly was one of the perfect seasons for a Fulham supporter because we scored so many goals and there was such a good feeling about the club. And what I've seen from the first 3 matches in the Premier League, is that he's continuing that. So I've been pleasantly surprised that there hasn't been a drop off as he's had other clubs. But I think the good thing about Marco Silva is he wants to play good football. He wants to have possession, but it's not just kind of slow build up. He wants to quick play in the attacking third, put the opponent back on their back foot. And he's been very clear. Yes, we're in the Premier League. Yes, we're going to be going up against better teams than last year, but we're still going to keep our philosophy. I think every supporter just wants that. They want people who play attacking football, who don't just kind of sit back and be negative. And he just has a great relationship with the fans, is what's really impressive. He's very open about he wants to win. He wants a strong squad. But as long as he keeps delivering results on the pitch, I think he can quickly become a club legend. That's honestly crazy to say. He's only been here, a year and a couple months, but he's already has kind of a cult favorite status.
Interesting.
So you are happy with Marco Silva and all that's been happening, I guess. So let me ask you this, Max. When it comes to the players, if I were as an Arsenal fan to see the players in there, the obvious threat that I would be looking at is Mitrovic. Yeah. But as someone who's like Vijay said, we do not follow the championship and we have not seen as much, but just based on whatever we've seen so far in the 3 games, we've been able to name 1 or 2 people who could be possible threats. So in your eyes, who do you think would be the biggest threats for us at Arsenal from Fulham's side? Who do you think would be the big threats? And how do you see yourself winning this game? How do you think Fulham can go ahead and win this game? It's a PL after all. No game is a given. We are not going to be, though we would predict a win for the team with a scoreline that would probably be clean sheet. There's always going to be a fear that this is a Premier League. It's just a 4th game, that anything can happen. And Fulham have showed that they are more than capable of causing an upset. Draw against Liverpool.
And Liverpool.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I know based on what you've done so far, how you played and the resources that you have, where do you think you guys can win this game, the key battles and all that?
Sure. Yeah, I think the Liverpool game is the blueprint that we want to follow, which is to start off the match, be on the front foot. Because if you guys watched the Liverpool match, which I hope you did because it's a great game, you'd see that Liverpool, they were shocked. They did not know what to do with us.
So were we. It was not just, I think everyone watching the game was shocked. I'm pretty sure you were shocked as well.
I was shocked too. I thought we were going to get battered. We were going to have to sit back and be very conservative in the way we played. But the fact that we started the game pressing Liverpool, getting balls into the box, getting that early goal, it shocked them. And I think that might have been a fluke because I think teams are not going to underestimate Fulham again after the opening day, which Liverpool did. But I think we have to start brightly. And I think if we score first, we can then kind of sit back and protect the lead. What I would be scared about, though, is if, Arsenal, which you guys probably will, you guys start in the front foot, get an early goal. I think it's difficult for us because we haven't really had that position this year to fight back from the losing position. I'm not sure whether this team has it in them. Because, again, Mitrovic will be a big player. Pereira will be a big player. Those, I think, are the 2 players I want to single out in terms of the attacking threats. But, again, Harry Wilson's injured. Solomon's injured. We had Nissan Skabana, who's a good winger, but, not Premier League quality. He was injured for last game. There's not a lot of attacking options coming off the bench. So I think we've actually done really well with the limited resources we have. But I do fear that there's actually not too many threats on the pitch other than Mitrovic. And if, both your center backs kind of mark him, cut off crosses, it could be a tough day for us. So we'll see.
How would you see the partnership of Harrison Reed and Tim Ream? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Reed's in center midfield, but he's been good. It's Tim Ream and Tosin in center backs. And I did not think they'd be good this season. I thought if we start Tim Ream in matches, we'll be found out. He has shocked me. As an American, I love Tim Ream, but I'd say kind of very often he's not a Premier League player. He's 34 years old. He doesn't have pace. But I mean, credit to Tim Ream. He's upped his game in the first 3 matches. And we signed 2 center backs, as I mentioned, Diop and Duffy. And they can't get in the starting 11 because of how well Tim Ream and Tosin are playing. So that's a testament to how they're doing. I would say I am worried about Jesus. I'm worried about Saka. I'm worried about your guys' attack, Martinelli too. You have good, quick players who I think might be able to find them out. But Tosin makes up for it because Tosin's the other center back and he's very quick. He does have an error in him. Ivan Toney gave him a tough time last week, but his recovery speed is very good. So maybe that's a good partnership where, Ream can, afford to play higher up knowing that Tosin's going to come and save him if he gets beat.
But also like a quick thought on Bernd Leno and the first thoughts. I mean, he has played 1 game, right? So what are your thoughts on him being there?
Yeah, I mean, we were delighted. I mean, Leno, of course, as you guys know, he lost his place, but he's still a German international, played very well for Arsenal for many years, a very good shot stopper. Um, the player we need, the quality we need to stay up. So when we signed him, it was great. And then he actually didn't start against Wolves. That was Brodak, our keeper from last season. And fans were saying, "Oh wow, is Marco Silva going to be loyal here and leave our big £8 million signing on the bench?" But he played against Brentford. He gave up 2 goals. Neither of them are really his fault, I'd say. So I can't point much blame. But I don't know if I've seen enough of him at Fulham to have a good verdict. But I'm very optimistic because his reputation is very strong, and I think he'll be a very good bonus for us. So I'm excited to see Leno play.
I mean, he is a very good professional.
He joins in there. Sorry, I was going to say he joins in there with our highest regards. I mean, I don't think any Arsenal fan.
Why do you think he lost his place to Ramsdale? Was there like one situation that happened, or Arteta just wanted a Ramsdale?
I think
it was just like a matter of skill sets and the skill set matching what the manager wanted and the kind of play that we had. Leno's a fantastic shot stopper. I think he would be great for like a team like Fulham that's just come up from relegation, is expecting a lot of shots. But what Arsenal wanted was someone who could be involved in the build-up play, and Leno cannot do that. Like he's when you get to a point where learning new tricks is difficult, that's exactly where he was. Like he was at a point where he's like great at shot stopping, but when it comes to learning something new, that was not like, it's not easy for any professional footballer at that point, at the time when you're 29, and that's exactly what happened. We didn't want to let him leave. Like, if given an option, we would have loved to keep him, but he's like fighting for a spot, and Fulham presents a good opportunity for him.
Yeah. Well, one last question, Max. I know that you have to leave shortly. What is your prediction for the game? I mean, do both. Like, do one from the heart and do one from the head, if you want. But what would be your predictions?
Yeah, I think I think from the heart, I'd say 1-1. I think we can get a point. Maybe. I mean, we have confidence, but maybe from the head, it would be a 1-0 or a 2-1 loss. Just because, I mean, Arsenal, as you guys know, looked very strong. I mean, 4 goals against Leicester, 3 against Bournemouth. Jesus looking very, very on form. You guys have started really well. So I don't want to take anything away from, top of the league. But, I've been to a couple of matches. I was at the match when we tied 3-3, when Schwarzer saved the Arteta penalty back in 2013, I think that was. So I've seen a draw at the Emirates. I also saw the match when Vermaelen scored an own goal and the goal for you guys. So I've actually, in 2 trips to the Emirates, I've seen us get a point. So I know that it's not unheard of.
And you're not traveling now, right? You're not traveling now. That's good.
Stay home.
Yeah, get better, yeah. But I think this is probably the first time we've played you guys when you're top of the league. So it's a different story.
It's quite crazy to think that Arsenal has never lost against Fulham in home at all. Never.
Wow. I didn't know that. But that makes sense.
I think the last time we lost was in 2012. Was that right?
Yeah, I think Zamora
in the Premier League. I think it was 2012. I think we've lost just one game.
If you look at the draw that we had in 2020, that was actually a injury time equalizer from Nketiah. So anything could happen.
Oh my God. I was thinking, what was the other game that year? Yeah, it was when we had the penalty, and I thought, okay, we might stay up, and then the very, very, very last kick of the game. Oh my God, don't remind me. Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad.
But it's been amazing, Max. We have had one of the best discussions we have had in quite a while. Happy to have you here, and hopefully, I mean, we'll invite you more. We'll invite you for the next game where we come to visit and have more of this. So all the listeners, please do follow Max's channel, and please do follow him on Twitter, because I mean, I believe whatever he does is really good. So thanks so much, Max. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. I love your guys' show, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Wish you the same as well.
Thank you very much. See ya.
Thank you, Max.
That was a great conversation, guys, with Max. But to continue on, like, Arsenal side of things, do you guys see any difference in like the starting lineup going for this game? Especially, Arun, I'll start with you. Especially because, we have talked a lot about Mitrovic and his aerial threat. So do you see Tomiyasu coming in? Because we know he's our strongest aerial presence defensively.
Defensively, no. Actually, you know what? To be honest, I don't see the team changing at all. I don't see the need for a change in the starting lineup, though we have like a lot more games coming in. You want your first team, which seems to be established with like, you know, the players that are playing now, you want them to get more minutes. Mitrovic's aerial threat is something that can easily be tackled by Saliba and Gabriel in the middle. And that's the way that they are going to attack as well. Their problem would be like they like stretching the pitch. So, you know, like they like going out wide and sending crosses that Mitrovic can finish. If they do stretch the pitch, it's going to work in our advantage, given that we are playing at the Emirates, and that's just going to open up gaps. So we need someone who can play out and pass out as well, which White has been doing fantastically well so far, though being played out of a position. Like he's been doing that. And in the last game, if you noticed, he was also able to make those overlapping runs with Saka. Like, you know,
I mean,
he's
he
able
has
to
been
get into
doing
the
that
right
for some
positions.
time. Yeah.
Exactly. So given all this, I don't see really the reason why we should be seeing Mitrovic as a threat that cannot be tackled by the people that we have and try and bring someone in, though it is Tomiyasu. I would still like want to think that he's getting his way back to fitness. So like, you know, Arteta did mention that they were rusted last season, and we saw what happened. So now that we have the luxury of playing White, I would continue to play him and like integrate Tomiyasu in with like giving him 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We're going to be needing these people, and we're going to be needing them to be match fit. The same way we are thinking about players like, you know, getting their rest. So I would say like just continue with the same team. I don't see the need for us to be like, you know, changing anything with all that we've been doing so far. If it's
I
not
may
broken,
add
why
something,
fix?
Yeah.
if I may add something, if at all, I mean, I thought the changes would have come. It would have been the previous game. Now that we didn't do any lineup changes against Bournemouth, I don't see any reason as to why we should be doing it now. I feel the same lineup will continue as well.
But Bob, I heard this in I think Arsenal Vision podcast or something, where they mentioned how these players, especially like Tomiyasu and Tierney, they didn't have like a preseason because they were injured, right? So giving them enough minutes, especially considering that we have drawn, who did we draw for the Carabao Cup next week? Brighton,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Yeah, we did draw Brighton for Brentford, which is stronger team than what we expect to be drawn against in a Carabao Cup first game. So
I don't
just
care. I don't care. I don't care.
I know you don't care about the cup competition in itself, but what I meant was like, Bob, in that scenario, would it be ideal for the players who are going to come in and play that game to have minutes in this game?
No. I don't see any.
Why did I take so long to frame a question that
You
Bob
could
is
have
going to
asked
be
me
like,
that question
no.
straight away. I could have given you the same answer. Unfortunately, you know, I mean, the Premier League is completely different to the cup games that we're going to play. And to Arun's point, yes, I don't definitely take in the Carabao Cup any seriously, because, you know, I mean, even if we put in all the efforts, you know, in the quarterfinal stage or the semi-final stage, we are going to be getting kicked off by City or Chelsea or you know, Liverpool's or anyone. So it's the least that we have to be caring about. And if at all you need to be giving Tomiyasu or Tierney a start, you know, that would be more likely going to happen in the group stages of the Europa League. Obviously the draw is going to take place tonight, so maybe that we might be having some teams that they'll be pretty good to start with. I think that's how Arteta usually manages his squad in the past that we've seen. So even the fact that, you know, they've not had any preseason, and then, you know, we have a, you know, supposedly an easier opposition in Fulham, still doesn't mean that, you know, you have to give them a start, or, you know, some, I mean, they might feature in some time depending upon how the game goes, but then I don't see them necessarily starting.
Okay, but in the front line, there is absolutely no way we are going to drop anyone, even though Saka has not been playing great. I don't think we are going to,
It's completely an understatement, mate. Seriously, not playing great. It's
because we expect Saka to play great all the time.
See, I'll tell you, the other wing is actually overshadowing what Saka is doing. That's the whole reality of things. So, I mean, Martinelli and Jesus and xhaka, everybody has been on tremendous form that it's completely being overshadowed.
Bob, if I am not, as an Arsenal fan, allowed to be greedy and want Arsenal to win 10-0 every game, to have Saka score 4 goals, Martinelli score 4 goals, and then Jesus to score 3 goals, I don't see the point of being an Arsenal fan. So
you have to be content, right? Imagine, just compare yourself to the last 3 games the first 3 games of last season, where you were 0 points and you were completely out of whack, so considering that, you have 9 points to look for, and then you sitting pretty much on a good place is what makes you think you're doing much better than what you were.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I'm still greedy. But on that note, right, let's try, and we've been going at this for quite some time. Let's try and do the key battles and predictions as soon as possible. Arun, I'll start with you regarding the key battles and predictions. We know that one is going to be Mitrovic versus defense, but from our end, who do you think is going to be the one who's going to be the troublemaker for Fulham?
The troublemaker, now that Max mentioned Palinha, he's he's someone that could possibly control the midfield. Like he's the one who's going to be controlling the midfield. So him against Odegaard for me would be a good battle. Similarly, I think Partey versus Pereira in that midfield will also be a good battle. But if you really think about the quality, there's no match in there. But then in games like this, when you want that number 10 of yours to be performing, that's Pereira for them. So Partey against him would be good. Another thing, we spoke a lot about this, Leno against the attack. Leno against Arsenal attack is going to be another big battle. Can think of one more, which is going to be Tosin Adarabioyo versus Jesus. Because I was told that, based on what Max spoke and what we were discussing with a couple of friends last night, that he's the kind of like a ball playing defender. So he sort of starts the attack from the back for them and helps them get into the groove and push from the back. So given that, him and Jesus would also be a good battle. He has to control Jesus' trickery and Jesus has to prevent him from sending the balls. So that would be I think a good battle as well.
Okay. And are you going to do the prediction now, or do I have to go through?
Prediction is very simple. Whatever it is, unless we get to a string of games where we've not conceded or not close to conceding, it's always going to be a 2-1 win for us. So my prediction would be a 2-1 win for us. I still do not have the confidence that we will not concede. So,
but we didn't concede against Bournemouth, right?
We did concede 2 against Leicester.
But we scored 4.
That's why I said we need a string of games.
Bob, with that, continue on your
In terms of the key battles, right? I'll be really looking to see how we hold up against the midfield, as what Arun said. Palinha is a pretty good player. He was coming from Sporting. The little that I've seen so far, is actually bringing a lot more to the game than what they had. The previous time that they were in the league. Now, again, as well on that, it would as well be interesting to see how Saka is actually facing the likes of Anthony Robinson and Tim Ream. Both of them obviously play for the USMNT. So which means that, I would be really keen to see how they actually cope with Saka, because we all know that we all want as well that, there's a big game which needed to be coming up from Saka, because obviously Martinelli has been taking some of the limelight, and then Saka is obviously not someone who's going to be just resting easy. He's as well, who try and do something good. So I feel there would be a big game. I see this coming for quite some time. I sort of expected that as well for the Bournemouth game, and I'll go further with that. I'm pretty sure he would try and make a mark, and then possibly, if in case he can actually score a goal or two. So without that out of the way, yes, obvious threat from Fulham would be Mitrovic. Yes, Mitrovic, because it's just mind blowing to think that he actually scored 31 goals to break Ivan Toney's record with 16 games to spare. That's how he's been, last
also
season.
Goes to show the rare quality of the rest of the teams below Fulham last season in the league, the championship.
Playing in championship is never easy, and not everyone has actually tasted success in that. To do it consistently is quite a feat. I appreciate Mitrovic for doing that. He would obviously try and test Saliba and Gabriel for sure, because there's he would try and bring in the physical presence there in the box. So we have to be wary of Fulham in the corners, especially. So that's the main areas of battle that we see between both these sides. Coming to the prediction side of things, I feel we would win 3-1. We have a lot of
You
quality.
talked all
Well,
the way.
you're also not like going for a clean sheet, and you asked me about like what was all this logic of like us not conceding a goal against in the last
I
game and all
questioned
that.
you, but I never denied it, right? The two
Okay.
different things are.
Bob channeling his inner.
You gotta ask the same question to yourself now.
Bob channeling his inner Arsene Wenger, where he dodges all kind of questions with technicality. 3-1, Bob, you were supposed to say 3-0, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, you're predicting a clean sheet now.
No, Matt. Unfortunately, no.
But on scorers,
see, I think Jesus, obviously you could think of, because he's everywhere. You can't try and get the ball away from him. Which is a good thing. And just like how my predictions, I did predict but didn't come through. That was actually for Saka to score. Maybe I'll still try again for this time, and then I'll see how it goes. So I'll hope for Saka to score, and then probably one from Martinelli as well.
Awesome. Arun, you're not going to predict any scorers, are you?
Scorers, let's add in two names, Jesus and Odegaard already scored, so he's not going to score. Let's put Jesus and Saka.
What's
So
that
You're taking
logic?
guesses here, right? By the way.
But what's the logic? Like, Odegaard scored last week, so he wouldn't score. But Jesus has been
Just
scoring,
wait
he'll
and see.
score.
Just wait and see. They call it the Arun instinct. He's not going to score.
As long as we win, I'm happy.
Exactly. I don't care
if
about my predictions as long as we win.
But Arun instinct have a good ring to it. So with that, folks, that's our.
Did you give your predictions though?
I don't predict, Arun. That's the whole point.
Okay.
The perk I get for being a host is that
host.
I don't get to predict, and I could ask all of you questions.
Good luck.
But on that note, everyone, thank you so much for this episode. It's always been fun talking to you, and hopefully we come out with the victory. And for everyone listening, please do like, share, subscribe. I'm supposed to say that every episode at the start of it, but I'm not. But I did say it this time. But also, before we wind up, there was a question from one of our viewers. I think it was Sufan, who asked us a question about what our thoughts are regarding Jesus, because he was likening the start that Aubameyang had to his Arsenal career, with Jesus having a quick start to the Arsenal career. Do we see any any similarities between the players in that sense?
I feel Jesus signing more similar to the impact that Sanchez had, when he came in, because it was quite instantaneous. He was just like how Jesus has been influential. He was everywhere, serious, every attack starting with Jesus, and that is the impact. Oba, it's slightly different because he came in during January when we were already half season there. I think he was just signed maybe to more moralize the fan base, which was sort of breaking at that point in time. With the difference is that between what the previous strikers that we've signed to what we've signed with Jesus is that he's Premier League proven, so there is nothing new that we are going to do introducing, and there is no sort of a transition. Himself and Zinchenko has been able to come in and then slot in straight away into what they need to be doing against every team. So which means that there isn't any transition or anything that we see. It's unlike how we've done in the past, where we've poached or brought in strikers from abroad. So it's completely different this time, and I feel that it's a sort of the right thing that we've done with Jesus.
Awesome. There you go, Sufan, for you, the response from Bob. And as usual, try and add more questions in comments or reach out to us in our social media platform. We'll try and answer as much as possible. We'll try and answer it before all, not right at the end, like sometime in the middle of the recording from the next sessions. But thank you so much, guys. Thanks again, and we'll meet again after Arsenal 10, Fulham 0. Bye.
Okay.